The German car giant Volkswagen entered India in 2007, and over the years, Volkswagen as a brand in India has been synonymous with premium products and also fun to drive vehicles. Today, we are going to find out what does Volkswagen have in store for India in 2020. Welcome to Business World. I'm your host Siddharth, and on today's edition of BW Hotwires, we have Mr. Steffen Knapp, Director Volkswagen Passenger Cars India. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hello, welcome. Thanks a lot for having me with you.
Thank you, sir. So let's start this conversation with the current COVID pandemic. Tell us, how has the COVID pandemic affected Volkswagen India's business operations?
Well, clearly it's been a very tough time in the last months. We don't have to forget that already in March there was a slip in the industry of 57%. April we went down by 100% and 85% in May. Now in June last month was around 43% down. Obviously that has affected also the Volkswagen operations. Yeah? But I'm very happy to say that we had a very fast start back. Our operations is running at 2 shifts. We are getting the cars produced which we want, and that is not easy in these times. As you know, the decision of the Indian government to make let's say a fast cut and completely cutting all supply chains was not easy to come over. But fortunately, we are running fine at the moment in Chakan as well as in Aurangabad. In terms of our sales and marketing operations, we are at around 90% of pre-COVID levels in the workshops, in our dealerships, and we are far above last year's level in sales. So there is a nice traction in the marketplace. So it was a big hit. There's no question about it. It was a big task to walk around the situation, to walk around also multiple different state regulations, which is not easy in India. But in principle, I'm very proud to say that our operations is running fine, and then we are on track to deliver our projects which we have on our plate for next year, in particular the India 2.0 project.
So now, during these uncertain times when the customers are not really going out, and then we had the lockdown where everything was shut, how is VW India reaching out to the customers in this time?
Well, we have the advantage that we are a global player, and we can look around the world a little bit. And we have multiple speeds when it comes to COVID-19. So, and one blueprint for us was the situation in China. You know, China was hit in February very hard. March went down, but they were able to ramp up the business extremely fast, and they are now ahead of last year's level. And what we saw there are 3 main movements in the industry. Now, the first one is clearly that people are afraid. Like you rightly said, they rather stick at home. They don't want to go to places where there are gatherings where multiple people are coming. So the first thing what you have to do as an OEM, and I think everybody who's working with customers, is to sanitize in the full service and sales funnels. So all the elements from a touch point of a customer need to be completely safe and sanitized. So we had sent out guidelines to our partners out there in our own premises, in our production lines. We are adhering to social distancing norms. Our buses are sanitized for our workers and so on. So that's the first bit which is important. The second element what we saw is that there is a clear push for online. Yeah, so in India, in the past, we were not selling a lot of cars online. It was mainly you go to the dealership, you look at your car. It's a very big investment relatively to the investments in life. So people tend to go to the dealerships. And out of the experience in China, where it really went up very fast, we had to install our online sales and service channels, which we have now. So customers can from home select the vehicle, order the vehicle, do the down payment, and basically get the car home delivered by the dealer. Yeah. So that's the second element. And the third element, which is very positive for me, as you can imagine, is that individual mobility has risen in interest. So customers are extremely afraid to use, for instance, public transportation. So they are tending to go for their own form of mobility, and that is unfortunately something I can offer very nicely, a nice vehicle, be it a new one or be it a used car. And that we piggybacked very much. So we had launched, fortunately, a major offensive in used car at Volkswagen, completely digitizing the complete sales and service funnel also in this area of the business. And that has proven to be the right one. So we used to sell around 15% of the sales volume in used cars. Now we sell the same amount of used cars and new cars. So it's really picked up well. And it's exactly the same what we saw in China, that the used car business going up. Individual mobility as such is getting interesting for the customers. And fortunately, with our portfolio, for instance, with the Polo, we can have affordable mobility to our customers.
So multiple points from that answer. So you've mentioned personal mobility going up, shared mobility going down, and also used car business taking a jump. So now, what other trends do you see? Do you see a downwards flow of demand? Somebody who's actually looking at a Vento maybe could actually look at the Polo right now. The demand is there, but is it going downwards? Any other trends as well?
Demand is definitely the same. So 80-85% of customers say they intend to purchase the vehicle. That's no question. But what is happening is that the budgets are going to be reduced because our customers clearly they don't know what is happening with their employer, what is working with their working place. They want to save some money for birthdays. So the amount of money they're willing to spend is reduced. So you answer this with three options. The first one is that you can offer an interesting used car, which is from a price point of view, from a budget point of view, much lower. And it's a very interesting option. The second one is that you go down the ladder of the products, which is a possibility. So you say, like you said, I'm selling him a nice Polo TSI instead of a Vento potentially, or a trend line instead of a comfort line or a high line. So you move down the series lineup. But the most important one is, from my point of view, the third element is that you offer new ways of financing, of owning. Yeah, so we had launched just recently our leasing option. So leasing, a wet leasing, where you basically don't own the vehicle. The property lies with the leasing company. You don't have to pay anything else than the monthly installment and the petrol. The monthly installment covers insurance, covers the vehicle as such, obviously, the financing, all is in there. And you rather use the vehicle than you own the vehicle. It's a modern form like we do all use our music today or things like this. And that is very essential, that you offer new forms of financing. So we have a second one, if I may explain this. It's a product called Volkswagen Secure, where we are giving the customer a guaranteed residual value after 3 years. And he has three options. Either he keeps the vehicle and he continues the financing. Financing is a different way. Secondly, he can give back the car to the dealer and gets his assured guaranteed residual value. Or he takes this car as a down payment for the next vehicle he wants to take. Yeah. With this, we are able, just to give you a picture, to sell a Tiguan Allspace, which is a car which prices at 3.2 million, at the same monthly installment than a T-ROC, which is at 2 million. Yeah, because the assurance of the residual value enables us to move down the monthly installment. So it's very important that these three elements are available at the moment. So used car one, going down the product ladder, going down the series ladder within the product itself, or last but not least, having very interesting financing options available. And that is, I think, the point of the hour.
So, sir, if I'm not wrong, you have been bringing in global products in India. So you have brought in Polo, you have brought in this other product, and you have also some small cars in your global portfolio like Up and Golf. So going forward, will you be bringing in global products, or will you be developing products ground up for India and sell it here? What would be the strategy going forward?
It will be a combination, Abhishek. Clearly, the base is Volkswagen's global technologies, and the base is Volkswagen's global platforms. Yeah? So we are going definitely not for completely different platforms in India, or to complete different technologies. That's not the case. But what is necessary is that you localize. Yeah, if you look, for instance, we come next year with our Volkswagen Tiguan, which is an A0 SUV, so a compact SUV, which is on the base of our MQB platform, which is utilizing our global technology box, like the 1.5 liter TSI engine, the 1.0 liter TSI engine. All the technology which this company has available is going to be put into this car, but the design is fully Indianized. Yeah, so this car has a longer wheelbase, like for instance, comparable to the T-Cross. Yeah, longer wheelbase. It has an extended hood, for instance, to have the rectangular front, which Indian customers want. They want this ruggedness of an SUV. It has an additional window. It has additional colors, which we don't offer in other countries. So we will have a combination of global technology, which I think is good for the Indian customers from a safety quality point of view and what we are offering as Volkswagen. And at the same time, we will be very, very localized, in particular when it comes to design and the feature and the, let's say, the package of the vehicle. Yeah, so it's a combination. Yeah, so nowadays, today, to develop only a car for one region, yeah, from my point of view, is financially not very healthy. You should drag off your toolbox, utilize the scale of this company, and at the same time utilize the local talent to adapt it to the needs in India.
So you spoke about India 2.0 initiative, and at the same time the government is really promoting self-reliance, Aatmanirbhar and Make in India. So I want your take on this, and I want you to explain the India 2.0 initiative of VW.
Well, we have given, perhaps let's come get a little bit academic. We have given ourselves a vision to become a sustainable brand, Volkswagen brand in India, with a minimum of around 3% market share in the next 5 years. And the underlying adjective is sustainable. Yeah, so we have to become sustainable for us as an OEM, feed ourselves in India. We have to become sustainable for vendors, our customers, visit residual values I was talking about, and so on. That's a clear vision. And for that, you need a portfolio strategy which is clearly defined. So what are the cars you want to launch, where you want to put your efforts on? Yeah. So we have started this work 3 years ago. And fortunately, we got the investment of our company, of our group, of 1 billion into India. And that's exactly based on this, that we want to go into the 100,000, 120,000 units bracket, because then as a group together, we achieve 5% market share in India, and we are strong enough to lead ourselves. Yeah? So India is mainly about domestic market. It's clearly focused on India. So we want to move us up and build a sustainable strategy for us, and create this kind of a turbo machine for us. So therefore, when I talk domestic key is localization. Yeah, if you are not localized, you cannot be affordable to your customers, because India is, from my point of view, and I lived almost in every continent now, the most value for money country. Very driven on this. Every rupee needs to get the best out of it, which is clever, and Indians are very clever. And to reach this, you need to be accessible. And accessibility, you can only reach via localization. Yeah, and we had only 81% on the Polos and the Ventos, and we move now with India 2.0 exactly in this route. We go up to 95%, 92, 95% localization. So that is essentials part of it. The second part of India 2.0 is that we wanted to tackle the second biggest reason for rejection in India. These are the total cost of ownership. Yeah, a customer in India is talking about maintenance costs, is talking about parts costs, is talking about all the running costs. And these need to be competitive. If you localize, you source your parts here, you don't have to pay the import duties on the cars, on the parts. So you move down also this. We have now, in contrast to in Europe, for instance, set up a lot of child parts. Yeah, so modules which you had previously, like a lamp, for instance, headlamp, no? Which you had to completely exchange, you only change the bulb now, for instance, yeah? And this reduces the total cost of ownership. So India 2.0 exactly tackles the localization, tackles localized products for the domestic market, and is reducing the total cost of ownership. So we are tackling the core problems in India, or the tickets of entry, you could say, with this project, India 2.0. For us, it's really, really essential. It moves us into the next level. After 10 years being in the country, we have to go now into the next level as a brand.
So now, I want to talk about new products. So my question is, Polo as a brand has been very old, and we in India are not getting an upgraded model. So do we see a new Polo based on the MQB platform? I understand it. The sub 4 meter issue is there. And along with this, what other new products are we seeing from VW in 2020?
Okay. Let me answer this on Polo. I would not agree 100% with you that we are not giving you new Polo. We had freshened the vehicle substantially in November last year with a very, very sporty look. It has cues of GTI on the car, and I think that vehicle is really, really nice. The reaction is very, very positive. I can tell you today in July, as we speak, we are 54% higher in sales on Polo than last year. So the car is really, really flying. So, and that is the next step. We are not a revolutionary company. We never were. Yeah. So Volkswagen is a very evolutionary company. Yeah. If you look at a Golf, for instance, and you look and put the range next to each other, you will see that we have always made adaptations which are keeping the car crisp and nice. Yeah. But it's not a revolutionary change. Never. Yeah. So we are following the lines. I don't know if they know the Bauhaus philosophy, form follows function. So we are really classically designed. We are working on very detailed levels. And that's the reason why we have constantly updated our engine technology on the Polo. So now we came with a 1.2 0-liter TSI, manual transmission, automatic transmission, and also for lower series. So we make it more accessible. So we assume that we're going to sell around 75% TSI on the Polo in the future. Last year we were selling around 35%. So we make it more accessible. So we constantly work on our vehicles and we improve our vehicles. Therefore, I would not say that we are not giving you nice cars. I tell you, it's a car which is very much in demand, and at the same time, which is still, and I'm absolutely believing, the best to drive in this segment. There is no alternative to our vehicle. Yeah, I know Indian customers are a little bit different. I understand this. I lived 3 years in India. That you want to have something fresh, new, substantially changed, and interiors and some nice blinky features and all that stuff. Fair enough. This is not what we do. This is not the philosophy. And I tell you, this will pay back. This will positively pay back for us, because in the future, and I spoke about used car, residual value will be the key. And residual value you will completely ruin if you change your vehicle dramatically, because then the old one is going down. So, but coming back to your original question, you asked me, when do you get the MQB car based Polo? Firstly, we are focusing on the Tiguan. We are focusing on the Vento successor. These are the two focus models, and then we're working on the next level. Yeah. So there will be some time. Yeah, because you rightly mentioned, that is something, a peculiarity you have in India. You still have the sub 4 meter category in the market, and our vehicle is 4 meter 05. Yeah, so it's longer, the current, than brand new Polo, and that represents an issue for us. Yeah, so we have to redesign the vehicle. We have to put in investment into the car, and this we are currently investigating. Yeah, so then coming to the next products, we have announced in the Auto Expo that we're going to launch 4 new SUVs in the next 2 years. So we have launched now Tiguan Allspace in March this year. We have launched then the T-ROC with our first digital press conference. I can say these vehicles are really rocking the market. So we are almost sold out on the T-ROC, basically gone. And the Allspace, we have already sold 35% of our volume. And this without having the cars in the market, in the dealerships before the last 2 weeks. Yeah, so it's really just started. So we were able to get bookings upfront without physically testing the vehicles. So this is the first 2 ones. The next SUV which will come is next year, mid 2021, is the Tiguan. Yeah, so this is a compact SUV in the heartland of the SUV in India. The fourth one I'm not going to tell you. This is my surprise. There will be a fourth one coming, and then we come with the notchback with the Vento as a next step. Yeah, and then believe me, on us, we will have always nice surprises coming on top of it to round up the premiumness of our brand.
So one quick question. The festival season in India is coming, and a lot of OEMs are preparing to launch their cars during that time, because the sentiment might be up, and we might also see a little situation with COVID going down. So any plans, any new products coming during the festival season this year?
No, we have multiple activities coming. We will be, like I said, we just launched 1.5 weeks ago our T-ROCs and the Tiguan Allspace. That's a lot of product news. We will have an interesting product lineup available, interesting options available, interesting offers available, that's for sure. But not a specific new product coming in the marketplace. No. So the next product will be an SUV, that's for sure, but this comes in 2021.
Sir, as you know, before COVID, I mean, there was a lot of push from the government on e-mobility, and VW is already developing a lot of products in Europe for Germany and other markets. So, I mean, what are your plans for India? So, will you first go with hybrid, or will you go for EV? Will the EV be specifically developed for India, or will it be like you would be like a global product again brought into India and sold here? What is the roadmap for your mobility?
First of all, you're right. No? So the government has done multiple actions with the FAME 2 signage, with the decentralized activities in some smart cities for e-mobility. I personally think at the moment this is not the word of the hour in India, because I believe that the business case for each individual customer is the first focus at the moment, the first priority, and this you will not achieve with an electric vehicle. Yeah. So an 1.0 liter TSI Polo and compare with all its features and all its possibilities compared to an similar electric solution is not an affordable business case. So our focus at the moment is clearly to provide India with affordable individual mobility, and that's the first point. Because if you look at the same time in Germany and France, around the world, what they are doing is they are subsidizing at the moment heavily electric vehicles. Yeah, so in Germany, for instance, part of the package of the COVID-19 recovery package is that they ramped up the subvention to 6,000 euros a car, yeah, for an electric vehicle, and they are investing 2.5 billion euros into further strengthening the electric infrastructure, so charging station and so on. I don't see the government in India at the moment having the money, actually the resources to support in that way. And before we don't get this major push, I don't believe that this is going to take off very fast. If you ask me, is it coming into India? It's definitely coming into India. We are more in the situation right now that we monitor the situation, because also the regulations are kind of hoovering. You know, in the beginning, to do an CKD and PNC car in India was without any GST. Now it's increased to 30% taxes. Yeah, so it's constantly evolving. We are watching what's happening. We are having the technology available, as you rightly said. We are currently launching our first big wave with the ID.3 in Europe as well as in China. We are setting our plans all around the world. There will be a plant in US. There's a hub in Europe. There's multiple hubs in China. So we are really going big into electrification. So we are there. But in India, I think we have to monitor a little bit how it's developing, and then we have to decide when it's right to come into the market.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, globally you have the expertise in diesel, but I shouldn't be like bringing this up, but still there was some Dieselgate episode which happened. Now it's over. I know that's a history, but diesel after that globally has people don't really focus on diesel, and India also. I mean, the diesel prices have hit the roof. It has been deregulated. So what is the future of diesel in India? If yes, will you be moving away from diesel vehicles and only selling petrol?
So if I may go from the global perspective to the Indian perspective, there are actually only two markets left which are selling diesel at the moment in bigger scale. This is Europe and this is India. You don't have any diesel in China, you don't have any diesel in the US. It's not available and not sold. Or not in big quantities, very minuscule, for instance, in the US. So never developed. When it comes to our portfolio, diesel is a core centerpiece. We are still investing into diesel because it's a very CO2 efficient technology, which is still the main focus of all regulations on the CO2. Rather than the NOx, they focus on CO2 emissions. So it's an interesting option, and we are continuously investing into diesel. When you come to India, I believe you have to see it in two ways, or two separate things. The first one are the small cars. I don't believe that diesel has a future in this area. That's the reason why we have stopped our diesel technology on Vento and Polo. Give you a number. We were selling 3 years ago around 60% TDI on a Polo, and last year I sold 9%. And this was pushed because this was a localized engine. I had to take a certain volume and sell it to the market. So on the small ones, also with the regulations of Bharat Stage 6B coming into place in 2023, where you need an SCR technology, you will see that the majority of, I think, all the manufacturers will move out in the lower and smaller cars category. On the large cars, like on the big SUVs or on the big limousines, like on a Passat or something like this, I believe there's still room for diesel. And that's the reason why I never said we're going to stop diesel. We said we are going to launch TSI to make sure that everybody understands that Volkswagen is TSI. So we launched it on Allspace and we launched it on T-ROC as well. But at the same time, we're looking into the 2-liter TDI for those bigger cars, which is an option. So coming then to your global question on what technology we see coming, clearly number one for us is electrification, a BEV solution around the world. We are intending to sell millions in the future. The second one we believe is that hybrid technology is a kind of an intermediate step into the BEV technology. And particular for India, I believe there is room for a CNG solution. So I think CNG in particular, now the infrastructure has been built up. In Gujarat, you have this harbor where on a weekly basis, this boat from the Middle East is coming over with gas. We have the commitment of the government to install around 2,000 gas stations around the country. I think there is room for that. So that's something which we are looking at. As you might know, we are the world's biggest CNG manufacturer. We have a complete range of products in Europe, the TGI, how we call it, at the sales for all kinds of vehicles available. So we have experience with this technology. And I believe in India, this could be an option.
For demand generation, people are talking about scrappage policy. Then GST is on the high. So what do you think, according to you, are the pain points with the Indian auto industry, and what are the solutions that you would want for this?
First of all, India is a very interesting market. It's a big market. There's a lot of potential in the market, and we see this as a strategic market in the future. So I'd rather start with the positives. And I think also, given all regulations, it's my duty to offer the customer an interesting proposition. Vehicles which they see as a value for money proposition. So there is this statement of John F. Kennedy: don't ask the state what they can do for you, ask yourself what you can do for the state. I think our duty as part of an economic system is that we offer, in the environment we are in, an interesting public proposition for our customers. So we have really to always remind ourselves that we don't have to ask constantly for support. I don't think that is required. The first thing what I think is very important for India is stability. There's a lot of change constantly happening. Be it in the e-space from 5 to 30% increases, then there's cess coming. We remember when GST was launched, and almost 1 month later there was suddenly an increase in taxes again. So it really needs to be, if I may have a wish to the government, is really stability. That is very, very important. And if you go out and announce something, make it as concrete as possible. Don't leave open questions, because customers tend to wait then. So, and this doesn't apply to India. This applies to every country. In Germany, they were reducing just recently the GST by 3 percentage points, and they didn't say by when. So what is the consequence? Everybody's waiting. Yeah, so this is not good. This is very important. When it comes to particular regulations, and I could give my wish list, yeah, I think the sub-4 m category is absolutely historical. I don't see any sense in it. I think it's only a form of protectionism for certain players in the market. I don't feel this is right. We could offer much more product and much more interesting propositions to our Indian customers if this rule would not be existing. Yeah, that's because it's just a simple Indian regulation, nothing else. And if you are looking around, all companies are global players, the majority of us, and that moves additional cost into the equation. That's the first thing. I think that, like I said before, from an economical standpoint, free trade is always delivering more wealth to the nation than protectionism. I don't think this is, in principle, as no doubt about it. I think intermediate periods, I fully agree, to build up a certain cluster. But India does not have to fear anything on the automotive industry because all are invested. So it's, from my point of view, it's time that you open the country a little bit more, to get more interesting investment to the country, because there is no point in the history as right now which gives such an opportunity for India, because everybody understands with COVID-19 that the supply chains have to be adapted. So the way that we had clusters in one country, for instance, with one supplier, this is over. You have to diversify your local supply chains. So there will be a huge opportunity for India in terms of growing a second vendor base for a global automotive business. And that is also coming with technology transfer. But if you protect your country too much, I think you are kind of preventing that this is going to happen. So if you put it in a nutshell, huge opportunity country, we have to serve first and think what we can do for the country. But if you ask me personally, I would really opt for getting this sub-4 m category away. I think it's really historical. Secondly, lower down the trade barriers. Be confident that your own quality, what we are producing in India, we have state-of-the-art facilities in India. Our investment is absolutely top of in the country, in the world, in a worldwide comparison. We are exporting 70% of our volume from India to other countries. That means that the quality, what we are producing here, is state-of-the-art. So there's no reason for protectionism, because the cost level is lower anyhow. The market is big enough. So why do you fear that there is investment going out of the country? So it's going to happen. Stay in the country. VID is bound to stay, and open it up so that you get more investment into the country and also more interesting propositions for customers. I believe it's time for this now. I know the government is going a little bit a different route right now for good reasons. But in principle, I believe this is long-term will lead to even more wealth of India's nation, because the potential of this country is just amazing.
Okay. Thank you for talking to us, sir, and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, and all the best for you. Stay safe.